really excited to be here talking about seeding home gardens, both as a response to COVID-19 as well as a as an ongoing and sustained activity. So first things first, we want to make sure that we have thanks to the funders who have made this an opportunity for us. Obviously, Steps to Health is funded by the USDA SNAP program, and all of us are an equal opportunity provider. Other funding that we had that kind of made this possible for us was the Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation of North Carolina, the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Centers, and we have many that we can't necessarily talk about to all of them, but all of our seed and soil donators across the state. So thank you to everyone who's making this initiative possible. So next, our general agenda. So obviously this is really flexible. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to speak to topics that are of interest to you. We did want to, however, provide an overview of the concepts behind this COVID response, as well as sustainable efforts in seed distribution and seeding home gardens. So we're going to go over those basic concepts. We're going to talk, really the bulk of this presentation is going to be what's already in action. We have some really awesome initiatives already going in and across the state of North Carolina, and we really want to highlight those individuals and those programs that are doing that. We're going to do an overview of kind of a how-to. If you aren't already doing these things, we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to review some resources that we have. And then finally, some other resources and things that we're developing and kind of some sustained support for this movement.
They can't.
So first, I think Tess is going to kind of talk a little bit through seed distribution as a COVID response.
This is something old, and I just want to acknowledge and honor that because it's been happening in indigenous communities forever. And I'm a country girl, and it's something, again, long held in our traditions. It just is. It's a way of being. So that's the point of, like, we need creativity right now, but we also need to go to things that we know that work. And again, compassion for the kids out of school, but also all the partners that are overextended, school nutrition particularly, but all of our partners, especially those trying to do feeding right now, are really struggling. And so if you can't make it happen one way, don't push, try a different way. So that was kind of that point. And then I'm just really excited to be here. I didn't say I'm Tess Thraves. I'm with the Center for Environmental Farming Systems and the Farm to School Coalition of North Carolina, and I'm also the state rep for the National Farm to School Network. And there are a number of states trying to do this. Some having great successes, and we've been sharing practices and so forth. There may even be some folks from other states on the call that we can hear from later. But and so the next slide with those that have already been doing is really the point, hearing from those agents who have this in full force. And I just want to turn it over to them. And I just want to acknowledge that there are other agents besides these folks who have been doing this, and that this kind of practice, again, has been going on way before COVID-19. And it just, what we're trying to figure out is how to add some additional education factors and some additional food resources and encouragement through this particular time. So Morgan, you want to take it off? Is Morgan the next slide? Yeah.
So yes, we started distributing seeds about we just completed our third round. And so like it says, we put out 600 to date. The first two rounds, well, our FNEP educator came to me and was like, Morgan, let's figure out a way to continue doing what we're doing. And she was like, we talked a little bit, and she was like, why don't we just send seeds to students? And so that's what we did. The next day at lunchtime, we had a little over 100 seed packs with this trifold that you see here going to our backpack. So we started with cucumber seeds, and we included a recipe from FNEP on how to make your own dressing that would pair nicely with them, a little Learn, Grow, Eat, Go lesson, and then some links on places you could go to get more information on how to plant these seeds. And so those are the first two rounds. And then the most recent round, we put out a variety of seed packets. And we, instead of doing a whole trifold, I just stuck a QR code that you'll see down here at the bottom. We did 300 in one day of these QR code packets, and it sent them directly to a site that I created through the Brunswick County Extension site. That wasn't linked to any other pages, that's specifically for people looking to grow these seeds. And I think, all right. So yeah, so that's what we're doing in Brunswick County. We've done 3 rounds now. This coming up week, we hope to put out around 40 seedlings with a similar way, partnering with our backpack buddies. We've also partnered with our libraries. And yeah, that's what we're doing over in Brunswick County.
All right, go Scott.
I'm Scott Enrufty. I'm the 4-H agent in New Hanover County, and we've been working with our New Hanover County schools as well as our Cape Fear Food Policy Council, and they have designated 14 of the schools here in New Hanover County as feeder schools. And what I did is I looked strategically across New Hanover County of those students who are socioeconomically dispersed and would not have the opportunity of getting the chances of getting online or had computers at home. So I did a hands-on activity called 4-H Start a Garden, and I did link it into the PowerPoint. That way we could see if you wanted to. But what we did is we provided them with 3 tomato seeds, 3 marigold seeds, a Ziploc bag of soil, and 2 peat pots. And in the handout, there are activities for them to learn more about gardening and about activities they can learn about vegetables, as well as we put in a vegetable planting guide. So in case they wanted to plant a little extra. I am now working with a couple of restaurants down at Carolina Beach that I'm going to start dropping those off some packs. So I've got to pick up and assemble about another 200 or 300 packs. Yeah. And I've had a few other schools that have asked. Out of those 5, I've had about 3 more ask, can I bring packs in? So I will be making those along with some additional garden activities to go along with that.
You rock, Scott. You can just tag Kina and we'll just keep going seed by seed. I know lots of folks are going to have questions and things to answer. I'll try and follow the questions coming up in the chat box, and we'll cover them all after everybody's talked. How's that?
Sounds good. So my name is Kina Weber-Shirk. I'm a county extension agent in Guilford County, specifically supporting community gardens and school gardens. And there are over 150 active community gardens and school gardens here. So part of what I wanted to share with you is kind of we had an existing program for seed donations before our current crisis. And so we have been really benefiting from that and being able to share. So Minda asked in the chat about how we're getting our seed packets. And at least here in Guilford County, every year in February, I partner with the Extension Master Gardener Volunteers, and we host a Seeds to Share program where we're asking for donated seeds. Throughout the year, we're writing letters and reaching out to national seed companies, but most of our seed donations are coming from local hardware stores and garden centers and the local shops that are really wanting to support our gardeners, and at the end of the year donating seeds that are about to expire that would no longer be able to be sold, but that are still viable, just their germination rate is going down. So in February, and actually, Catherine, if you go to the next slide.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah, so on the right hand of the screen is a flyer for the event. In February, we had 88 community and school gardeners come and get seeds, but we still had additional seeds left over. And so what we have been doing in the last month is we have a number of bulk seeds that have been donated, and it's a wide variety of both cool season and warm season vegetables. So things that can be planted in the spring and fall, but also right around the corner, things that can be planted in the summer, and have been sharing out specifically with the lists that we know of the community gardeners and school gardeners, but also the early child care centers that are still open, that we can arrange for pickup or delivery. And now with our extension office being closed this week, we've been partnering with a local nonprofit, Growing High Point, who's willing to be a site for continued distribution and pickup. So part of what that distribution means for bulk seeds is that we have a kit together of disposable gloves and seeds and different small envelopes, whether it's coin envelopes are a great size, or we have some extra Wyatt Coral seed envelopes, but also like snack pack plastic bags work really well for taking the bulk quantity of seeds and then scaling that down and having individual volunteers or myself repacking those seeds and then packing them up in grocery sacks and sending them out. The picture on the right is that we had both a high school FFA and then A&T University's student greenhouse agreed. They had to cancel their fall or their spring plant sales, and so reached out to see if they could get them to community and school gardens. So this is a picture of a contactless plant pickup where I invited gardeners to sign up through Sign Up Genius for a 10-minute window when they could come to the extension office and pick up a flat and leave. And so there was a sign outside to really mark where it was available, but also then sent in an email a map and a picture of where to go to get seeds and transplants. So that's kind of what we have going on so far. But the thing that I really wanted to share with you all is that this is an ongoing collaboration. So since we put together this webinar and sent it out to everyone, 2 community partners have reached out to me about further collaborations and things that we could do in Guilford County. And I'm really excited about that possibility.
Awesome.
Thanks, Kina. Did you by any chance have folks take selfies of themselves in the flat they were picking up and send to you?
I did not.
Yeah, just asking. All right.
I do have a video of our 4-H van, which is a 15 passenger van full of plant starts. So that's something I could share.
Awesome. All right, Jonathan, you're it.
My name is Jonathan Smith. I'm the 4-H agent in Orange County. And my project, to be completely honest, is reflective of what Scott's already doing in New Hanover County. So Scott and I are camping friends. And we take kids to the camps during the summertime. So, and this is a cool opportunity that he's kind of done in his county. So I'm kind of doing really the same thing. As you can see a picture of my kit here on the screen. It simply is a bag of soil, a couple of peat pots. I included seeds for cucumbers, watermelons, and zinnias, so they can see flowers, fruits as well. Also, I was at Walmart and I found Jiffy pellets. You can buy them, and I think it sets of 36, the refillable packets. So I thought it'd be kind of neat for kids to see soulless media, growing media, and that format as well. So they'll get to explore with that. I think they'll enjoy that. So provides 2 pots and a Jiffy pellet, and then 3 different types of plants that they can grow. And then the packet, it has some resources that Scott had available in his packet, but also some of the things we found that you all put together for the Farm to School program website on the NC State Extension page. So I've kind of drawn from these different sources to provide a packet that helps them learn and think about these concepts as they're planting and growing. We're starting next week with 100 kits in one school system, and then we'll expand most likely end of next week to the week after that with 150 more kits in our other school system. And we're going to see how they're received, and then hopefully expand on that if they want more as we move along. But it's been a cool opportunity. My house is full of plant kits right now. We'll keep building until we've met the need.
Thanks, Jonathan. again, I know that there are a number other of you out there doing this. There's some folks who can't be on today who are doing stuff. We just wanted to share out and talk about it. Like Farm to School, this is a very place-based kind of thing. The resources that you have, the way you do it, and the partners that you're working with are all going to be based on what works for you and your own community. And so just really keep that at heart as we walk through these kind of things. We've got the website up with all of this information here on this page, and again we'll send it out. So we've got this website on our portal, and we'll continue to add educational materials. Kina and her folks in Guilford have a plan to keep making videos throughout the season. So again, this would be a place that we can use as a portal where folks can go as a landing site, but then go to other resources that exist in other places. So just know that we'll continue to build this. We'll take a lot from what happens today, I hope, and expand out the ideas and possibilities so that we're continuing to share everything that works, because while it's place-based, we want to minimize recreating the wheel. So like Jonathan and Scott did, taking a tool and adapting it to what you need is going to maximize kind of our shared capacity and allow us all to do a little bit more than we might otherwise be able to do in this moment. So I wanted to start with safety concerns. I know everybody's heard, there certainly have been some school meal sites that have had challenges, and they're doing amazing work trying to keep physical distancing. And so that comes into play, this kind of activity, especially for meal pickups and so forth. But I talked to Ben Chapman at NC State. A lot of folks will know him, and talked through kind of what additional safety concerns might be present in this. And to date, really don't have any associated with that. So the practices that we would want to uphold is, again, while compiling these with local partners, while passing them off, again, facilitating a minimal impact or minimal interaction at any site where these are being picked up. Kina's was a great example, just thinking through those same safety practices that we're advocating in all other places for physical distancing. So I'll let, I can't remember and I can't see the notes. I think that Kina and Morgan, we're going to talk about coordinating seeds and procuring seeds. Is that right? Is Kina back yet? Morgan, can you take that? I can babble, but you're doing
so I
it.
can tell you what we did in Brunswick County, if that's okay.
Awesome.
So
Perfect.
we had a very immediate need because we realized when we had the idea we had to get it out within 24 hours, hopefully. And so we just talked to my horticulture team, and my horticulture team had a partnership with a local business, and they were able to procure bulk seeds for us. And then we packed them in paper bags and put them out to families. Since then, we've done a couple of online deliveries, but we've really tried to support local businesses when possible. And so that's what we have done. And then I think that Kina had most of her seeds from her seed share program.
Yeah, and she has, if she's not back, if you are back, Kina, just jump in. She has a letter she's willing to share for as a template. We've got other letters as a template for asking for seed donations. Again, if you have funds to actually purchase from local stores, funnel some money back into places that really need it at this time and are still open as essential businesses. So procurement can happen on a number of different levels. And again, like Kina said, as soon as this announcement went out, I got tons of emails from folks saying, I have lots of seeds. How can I, and so again, that's one of those things I think we can collectively think through is like, if Extension could receive donations of seeds in a no contact way and redistribute them. There are lots of national organizations that donate seeds. And again, in this moment in time where everybody's going to be thinking about how we do this, those donation abilities may be lower. So just thinking about all the complexities there, and again, some real opportunity here to share ideas. Let's keep walking through this, and then when we get to the discussion, which I hope will be the max of our time, we can throw out some more. And I am watching the chat box. Scott or Jonathan, do y'all want to talk about printed materials, what you're sending with the seeds?
Basically, in the packet that I've put is I put a couple of coloring sheets in for the kids that are vegetables. I also put in a search word vegetable find, and they're on that same page. If you want to go to that slide, you can click on that page that I've got. And it should be hyperlinked that you can scroll through. You can roll through and see what's in there. So basically on the first, I just welcome to the garden, did the acknowledgements kind of thing. I had to put, because I'm doing the schools, I had to put that this is not a New Hanover County school sponsored event or piece of curriculum. And then I went through our Soil Solutions and through our new Sprouted Up program curriculum, and just kind of grabbed some information from there and just looked for the clip art, and then told them what was in the packet. And those are the two items that they got in the packet, the tomatoes and marigolds. And then I gave them a chart that they can chart the growth of their plant and how many leaves and flowers that it has. And then the next one is a little journal that they could do and write down about what's going on. I think journaling is very important. Through 4-H, we do project record books. And I think this could be a great way to start them on a project record book, because it helps through school as well as when you get in a job. And then I found the ag map, and they can make notes of where they find it. And then I put in several of those for each age group about what the plant, and then the next one is one with flowers and a regular plant. Kind of gives more of the scientific, higher level of education names for it. And then the next one kind of describes what each part is and what it does. And then the search and find. So that's basically what this consists of.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. So when we're talking about distribution possibilities, again, what we need to remember is that multiple opportunities exist here, and it will depend on your local partners, what's going to work for you. If meal distribution is happening at sites, you may contact your school nutrition director. For example, here in Orange County, we've got someone who's actually coordinating volunteers. And same was in Chapel Hill, again, which alleviates a little bit of the pressure on the school nutrition director being sent to that person so that you can figure out those things. If you have that existing relationship, and this is, we've been pushing this out through Farm to School, so a lot of you will already have those partnerships, agents, nonprofit organizations, school nutrition directors already talk regularly to each other and work together on projects. It may be easier to reach out to them. Just again, I repeat, the pressure that they are under right now is intense, and this may or may not be something that they can take on. So if they don't write you back, leave them alone. If they respond, great. And they may or may not be able to do this. They may pass you off to someone else, just trying to figure out how to do this as safely and as stress-free as possible. There are other opportunities, local food pantries, Restaurants are even taking on some meal distribution. Local food councils may help in organizing this, where extension offices can have pickup sites. Again, like Kina offered, childcare centers where open may be an opportunity. Again, thinking through where folks are already going, that may be an opportunity for you to funnel through, so that you're asking folks to go to a new place as infrequently as possible, right? And not overtaxing the folks who are already trying to do work. And so thinking through those opportunities, yeah, there are tons of resources. Distribution site, I think that covers it. Again, in those materials, as much as you can point folks towards their local seed and hardware stores, which in most cases are still open. So again, you're kind of setting folks up to grow their own garden, to push more information. Yes, there's tons of beautiful stuff on the ECE page. Check that out. We'll try and save all these chat box and send out a compilation of the resources there, and again, add that to our other list. So I think we're ready for the next slide.
So I'm going to be giving just a real brief overview of this, because I think, again, everyone has their own resources behind this. But Tess mentioned earlier that Kina has a template request that she's put together for requesting funding or requesting donations. And that's available through our resource library that we're going to give you access to. In general, and this is, based off of our anecdotal response, like what the counties are doing in their own spaces, the kind of budgeting for this is like between 300 to 500 kits, can range between $75 to $300. It really depends on what you're putting into the kit themselves. I think what we found was that for about $20, you might be able to get like a couple hundred seed packets put together, and then with printing, 15 cents per color sheet. So it kind of depends. And then also, if you're going to include other resources like containers, we know a lot of our participants or a lot of individuals across our state may not have access to land that they can actually till up and put seeds down in. So maybe they'll be building a container garden, and we want to make sure that we include some resources for them. So that's going to change how much your budget is. I know that we at Steps to Health, we do have funds available currently for any of the agents who have a 4th grade curriculum in place. If you have a relationship with a 4th grade curriculum, we have $1,000 for 15 sites across the state that can be used for this right now. We also know in the long term, we are going to be including in our amendment for our grant, as well as in future grants, this seed distribution funding. So we're including funds for counties to be able to purchase seeds and distribute seeds, whether that's be like right now during crisis management, or in a long-term, like maybe you want to do this during summer feeding. And this is an option for us to kind of, again, provide some funds behind this. And I know that Tess currently has some small grants available that you can reach out to her to get funds if you want to start something immediately. They have $100 in support funds for each county center. So that will at least get you going. It'll get something going in your county. Obviously include donations, consider donations. Like Tess said, she's been getting emails already. Lots of places have seeds available that they would be willing to donate. So you can always reach out and see if they have something that they'd be willing to donate as well.
Yeah, the funds that we have can go to cooperative extension centers. And so that's for any age. And I do want to make, again, another caveat about, again, the complexities in this kind of crisis response moment is the ability for school nutrition, if that's where you're pushing out these packs or kits, it's not going to allow for targeting a specific grade. The monies we have can go to pushing out seeds for kids 0 to 18. So again, child care centers, all the way through high school students. And again, so thinking through the materials that you're pushing out, and I'm not sure if Scott mentioned it, but thinking through pushing out those printed materials is really helpful, particularly for those folks who might not have internet. We'll have lots of internet resources that you can point folks to, and just thinking about equity issues and access issues for that kind of thing. The putting a kit together that has soil and pots is obviously going to cost more. And thinking through how you're packaging materials to support if you're going to encourage folks to upcycle, to find soil on their own, et cetera. And when and where we're pushing out whole packs of seeds versus a few seeds for a starter kit. So again, everyone's going to develop this in the way that they that fits both their budget and their resources. So we're really looking forward. I think if you can go on to the next slide, Catherine, I think I've already talked about, we're going to continue to upgrade this, but Liz, do you want to talk any more about ongoing resources and guides?
Super. I just actually uploaded a couple more to the website that Tess keeps referring to. So on there, these are just, like we've been saying all along, you're going to have to figure out sort of what works best for you and your community. But we put up some planting guides that are dedicated for kids. And, if that's something that you need help abbreviating, so it just includes the planting information for the seeds that you're giving out, we're glad to do that kind of stuff. We've got ideas in there for planting methods, which may be a little bit moot if we're mostly talking about seeds, but there's other ways some folks have been giving out transplants and maybe doing some divisions of different fruits, that kind of thing. A couple of just fun, quick activities to sort of expand similarly to what Scott had put out there. Links to some existing resources that we already have that are in video form, some articles and so forth. So just take a look at those, and this is meant to be just a starter. And as folks have other ideas, and as this program grows and folks figure out what works, then let us know, and we'd be glad to update that so that we can share out with everybody for them to use. Thanks.
Sweet, thanks, Liz. And as we go into discussion, yeah, you can go to the next slide, Catherine. I really am excited to hear from other folks and questions. I think there were a lot of questions we haven't hit from the chat box. But just really being aware that where we are right now with this is a COVID-19 response, and how we may grow this into something ongoing with the guidance from those folks who've been doing it annually for years, et cetera, and think through developing more resources for distance learning as that may be more and more necessary in the future. So yeah.
So this is really, we want to thank you guys for coming. We know this was an informal discussion. We know that we don't have all the answers to everything, and that everything will be unique to your own space. We do want to encourage you to try, to get out there and try. There are funds available. There are materials available. We have a lot put together for you. I think Tess is also willing and able to read questions that come in the chat box, and we can address that with our small group. We are planning on creating kind of like an FAQ sheet. She's mentioned that. We're going to go through and create an FAQ sheet, and this is being recorded.
Sally, I know that you're on. Are you willing to share what you've been doing in the past and how you're trying to adapt that in this moment?
Oh yeah. Hey everybody. Welcome to the Zoom call, I guess. Well, our community, we do community garden kit giveaways every year. It's been delayed right now because we've got some restrictions on doing mass giveaways with the tribe being shut down. But we do probably 10 to 15 seed packets a year. We give out about 800 to 1,000 kits. All of those seed packets are grown out by a farmer who's an enrolled member of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. And then all of those seed packets are like traditional Cherokee crops. So this year we're doing a chicken and garden project. So we had bought 6 dozen heritage breed eggs for embryology to start the week the school's shut down. So we've been hatching them in the office. They're going to hatch this next week. And we're giving those out to kids to do livestock projects. And then we also are funneling. We have all of the seeds already for the garden kit, so we're putting a few together. We've got about 10 to 15 families that are doing the garden project. So they have like a Google Classroom module with the Junior Master Gardeners out of Texas A&M. They're doing those virtual sessions twice a week. So we have links to all of those, and then I'm putting the videos up every time. So if they don't get on the Facebook Live, they can go back and watch it. And so that's what we're trying to do right now to keep families gardening and to kind of keep them in an active like 4-H project. So we're hoping whenever we can get people in a room together again, that we'd actually have like a nice like kind of 4-H club experience out of that between the chickens and the gardening too. That's what we've been doing.
Thanks, Sally. I'm just so excited. Thanks for being on today. Again, like a great example of fitting it into your space and adapting kind of what you've been doing, what you can do, and moving forward. I wanted to highlight Debbie had an amazing idea of doing free seed libraries. Debbie, do you want to talk about that? There's a long history of seed banks in communities. Again, we I think had seed banks in libraries all across the state for decades, and they were really popular about 10 years ago and hit a high. So maybe thinking about how to return to those kind of partnerships and so forth of seed sharing. I love Debbie's idea of seed libraries, like free library boxes in cities. If you've seen them, you'd have to find strategic locations, maybe outside Food Lion, right, in the rural areas and Ingalls. But yeah, the evaluation. Somebody asked about qualitative and quantitative numbers, how to track those numbers, how to know whether folks were actually getting to production and eating and so forth. And I would say this is where that space of an emergency COVID response project might morph into something else. I think we'd all love to know the numbers. We'd love to know what's happening. We'd love to capture stories. I think it's a great opportunity to capture stories. And so any encouragement in the materials that you put out to do that, we can make opportunities available on the website. And again, really thinking through on the qualitative level where folks have the opportunity and capacity to do such. And particularly around numbers going out. I think you're going to have to count the numbers of packets that you're putting out there rather than trying to actually ask anyone at distribution sites to count the number of packets that are being picked up, and certainly not like who they're being picked up by. So it's going to be, I think at this moment in time, something that we have to acknowledge is a little inaccurate and incomplete. Catherine, you?
Yeah, I can add a little bit in there. From a Steps to Health perspective, we know that this falls firmly into PSE work. This is definitely PSE outreach for our communities. So the counting of seed packets going out into the community can be used as an evaluation in this case, because it's like many of our other PSE interventions.
Can you say what PSE is for those who don't know?
Yes, PSE is Policy, Systems, and Environments. So we know that a lot of those kinds of interventions don't have necessarily a direct correlation between a particular environmental shift and, you know, X number of behavioral changes in individuals or in populations. What we can do is say that this number of seeds went out, and because of that, we have a potential of reaching X number of families. That could be larger or smaller, obviously. But that pre-number is valuable. From a qualitative perspective, I do know that on a couple of our phone calls, a couple of our counties have included QR codes with links to surveys. we know that those links to surveys, you know, a select population is going to be the ones that are actually completing those surveys, but that's fine. Any data is better than no data, right? If some people are completing surveys, awesome. That helps you both from a program planning perspective as well as a program improvement perspective, and can help you design programming going forward as well. So from a sustainable perspective, I am developing some curriculum that will be used as well. I mean, what's out there already is awesome. And what's the point in reinventing the wheel in many cases? You know, what Scott shared is perfect for a lot of our elementary school students. That is covering several topics that are already North Carolina Department of Public Instruction standards. So I'm just going to be going in and backfilling some lesson planning. But I mean, there's also a lot. 4-H has a lot already out there. Yeah, so you have a lot of capacity in those regards as well.
Awesome. Debbie, I think you're unmuted now. Do you want to speak to your library boxes?
I am unmuted. Thank you. Yes, I've talked to a couple people today, one including my husband, who's going to build one of those or two, and see if we can't get a few of those little free seed library boxes is put out in front of the, you know, by the road in front of the library where our actual seed library is located. And it's closed, so nobody can get to any seeds there. But I have like a whole bunch of seeds here at my house, and I'm gonna check, as y'all suggested, with some of the merchants around to see if we can get some more donations. But thanks for the info on the brochures. We could add to that for the planting. I think it'll be great. And when you one thing I wanted to ask was, y'all were talking about getting the seeds out at the, can we do that at the schools where they're giving out the meals? Would that be, do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, again, so the sites that are doing this already have had really good luck with the relationships they have with school nutrition, and being able to put the kits or seed packs into grab and go bags for meal distribution has been a possibility, and that's been working for some of them. It doesn't allow necessarily for targeted distribution. So while the resources that are going out may be targeted towards 4th grade, that's not necessarily who's going to pick up that kit in that situation. So I think that's one thing to note. And I don't think that that's something we can ask of school nutrition, to like, oh, ask if it's a 4th grader and only give them a kit if they're a 4th grader. Like,
right.
I think you have to let that go. But again, where you have those relationships, that might be a really strong possibility, because it's a time that folks are going out, and especially, you know, where kids and meal service is distributing those grab and go packs and willing, it's an easy connect, and it makes that farm to school connection, and so it's a really rich opportunity, and that just really depends on their capacity, and so it's worth asking, and just recognize the realities of what folks are facing right now would be my advice there.
Right.
And that's going to vary. Again, the folks that I have heard from have all been really supportive. And I know that there are folks out there who do not have the capacity to take that on with what they're already facing in their meal distribution.
Thank you.
It's a great question. Again, this is, it's a great place to start. Again, I particularly love it because it touches my heart on the Farm to School Connect. And there are lots of other places that we may be able to work that. What else? What other questions do folks see? New Hanover County Schools will only, for those on the phone, will only let us drop off the kits, and the school staff hands out to families. That's what I've heard across the board, is that they're either putting them in the grab and go bags or they're handing them out. They're not allowing you know, someone as a volunteer to have an additional handout at a site. So again, this is why it's asking something of them that's additional, is they're incorporating it into how they're passing stuff out. There may be other ways to work. One of the connects I didn't mention, and I should have, is through your educational partners. So yeah, what Tracy just said on the chat, if you're reading that. So curriculum specialists, CTE, teachers that you know, is there a way through the educational outreach for home packets and so forth that you can get the seeds out through that? And again, recognize, I think it was Jonathan who said, it might have been Scott, but again, if we're handing stuff out that's not part of the actual curriculum and it's being handed out through curriculum partners, there may be some issues there. And again, be creative and figure out how to solve the issues. Bilingual sheets. I don't know, does anyone have any of their materials already written in Spanish?
So we in Steps to Health do have some bilingual sheets, and I also have some of our individuals in our team translating materials. So we should hopefully have that ready to go in the next week or two at the latest. We don't want to delay it.
And bilingual specifically in Spanish to English?
Correct.
Great.
Yeah.
Again, that's something that we can think about adding to the portal page, is making sure that we have some collections of alternate language materials where we can get them there. The problem really with the educational materials is there is so much out there that's a little overwhelming. And so that's where Liz has been a real superstar in trying to cull and create some great starter places for folks to go. You could spend, the next 3 months at home in Google and find tons. Oh, great. Forsyth Community Garden has great vegetable gardening resources in Spanish. Mary Jack, you rock. So we'll make sure and add some of that stuff. Yay. Who else has a question, or does anybody from another state want to chime in? Oh, and Tracy mentioned while you're trying to unmute her that Life Lab has great resources, and they have a lot in Spanish language. Again, we'll pull all this stuff together and get it back out on that website. Were you able?
I'm unmuted. Hi. I'm so glad you invited me to the Zoom. This is great. So I just want to provide a little overview of what we're doing in West Virginia. This is our 3rd year of doing what we call our Grow This Challenge.
Yay.
We've done through the summer, the last 3 years. We focus on just 3 crops for this year per year that we will send seeds to people through a Facebook page sign up. So we work through SNAP-Ed, so we have educators in the counties on the ground that do kind of hands-on gardening activities and things like that. But this was strictly through social media. We have a Facebook page. We have a Qualtrics is what our university use survey where people sign up with their name, address, phone number, email, why they want to garden, what they're hoping to accomplish, what they're going to do with their produce and that kind of stuff. And then we send them the seeds, and all the education is on Facebook. So, we know that they're able to access that technology because that's how they sign up. So we don't send anything other than seeds to them. Everything's done through videos and pictures, and also we do challenges periodically on the Facebook page. Like right now we're doing microgreens. So the challenge is to do a time-lapse video of their microgreens growing. So, it can be kind of technology-based or garden-based, but it's really neat because it creates kind of a community, and people can comment on each other's pictures and put questions out that we can link them to other materials. So just kind of an alternative pathway that is part of our new social distancing world where everything's via social media. And it's really, of course, blown up. We've had, over the past 2 years, we've had about 200 participants each year. And this year, as of today, we're at 5,600. So,
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So,
can you share that link?
Yeah.
Or
so
do we need to join, or is it open?
you can just like or follow Grow This WV, or West Virginia Garden Challenge on Facebook, and you can kind of see what's going on. You don't have to, you don't have to sign up. You sign up by filling out the survey, but you can certainly join the page and see what we're posting without signing up. It's open. Yeah, so I'm actually working on a little map right now. We have gardeners that have signed up in every county. And so we have 5,600 people have filled out the survey, but I just figured it up. 118 community organizations have signed up, and then they're reaching another like 3,800 people. So it's been just, you know, a really great outreach for us, and it's really given our educators something to shift their attention to, because they're at home packing up seeds and sending seeds out and posting online and that sort of thing. We also did the kits, like was discussed on the call, and we are distributing those through either the child nutrition programs, if they'll allow us, and then food pantries and donation places like that as well. So we kind of have a kit portion that we're doing, and then we have kind of the Facebook social media side that we're working through.
Kristen, have you had any pushback on using social media with kids?
So we don't target specifically kids.
Okay.
It's just out there. So as far as signups, obviously it's the adults, but it's a lot of families gardening with their kids. And so they'll post, we've had several posts of parents posting their kids' pictures on the site saying, you know, this is my son, this is what he grew.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we don't specifically target kids in any way, but we do have a, again, I just figured it up because I'm trying to make a map, but out of the 5,600, 4,333 are families.
Nice. That's
So
really
we're definitely-
lovely.
Yeah, it's, so, you know, we've had the issues with finding seeds, and we're getting lots of questions about, you know, I signed up, but I haven't gotten my seeds yet. So we just keep telling them, you know, our delivery channels are slow right now, but you know, it's been great to engage them, and it's given our staff something to look forward to and keep busy with when they can't go in and teach in the schools and stuff. So.
Yeah, thanks. That was such a fun thing. I want to acknowledge the time is 3:02, so I want to pass it over to Catherine to wrap up, but that's a really fun thing to end on, and I'm sure you will get flooded with likes from our little group here today as we go look at some pictures to be inspired by. So thanks for sharing that, and thanks everyone for being here and all the work that you're doing in your own communities and across the state. Really means a lot.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time today to echo what Tess just said. We know that you're very busy, and we're all very kind of zoomed out, which is why we kind of wanted to have this to be a little more of a discussion and share some resources. The slide that's up right now gives you a contact for both the counties that shared their kind of promising practices, as well as anyone who is kind of involved in our work groups that we thought could be valuable. Obviously, we have many other people across the state who are doing great work, and I'm sure you know one if you're not one already. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions. We are going to be sharing out FAQ sheets. We're going to be sharing out our resource library. We're going to be sharing out this recording as well if you'd like to review it. In the meantime, be well. You know, I think there's a lot that we can do across the state to both help nurture our families and ourselves. So thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of it. Bye, friends.
Thanks, everyone. Bye, folks. Thanks, Catherine.